Hey guys, remember that event that we did last year called the Ochoco Overlander?
All right, I'm not gonna lie, in a pretty dark and cold place right now. Total lizard brain trying to get into camp. It's only day one.
Well, I kind of sort of signed up for it again by accident. I had a friend in town that sent me a text that was like, hey, I'm gonna do this thing, you wanna do it? I think I forgot about a lot of the pain and the suffering and said yes. Side is I'm doing it. Downside is I am unfortunately very woefully unprepared. I just haven't been getting in the miles as much as I'd want to this summer. I got all sorts of new camping gear and a different setup that I haven't fully tested yet. So I'm gonna go into it essentially like a newbie. And lastly, the bike that I'm planning to ride the event with won't arrive until 2 days before the event. So this is kind of my plan B bike if that bike doesn't work. So I have this rigged up just in case. Basically, I'm doing all the wrong things. I've underprepared, I'm using untested gear, and I'm cramming in as much last minute training as I can. But I thought I would document it just for fun and show you what I'm doing different this year. Okay, so first off, the big difference is the way I'm packing. Last year I used a more, I guess, traditional, if you can call it traditional, bike packing setup with a handlebar roll, the big kind of poop bag in the back. And this year I'm doing kind of this neo retro thing using carrot ice style bags. In the front here is actually a carrot ice bag. This one I like to call Old Glory. I've had it for, I don't know, over a decade, and the wear definitely shows. It's one of my favorite bags. Kept it in storage until we got back from our travels, and I'm really excited to be able to use it again. And a lot of that is because there have been lots of products to make it possible. And one of them, as you can see here, is this rack by our friend Rob from Ocean Air Cycles. It's called the Erlin rack, and it basically clamps in between your saddle rails and the seat post and provides a little support. If you're a shorter rider or you find that the bag just kind of flops down too much, this is a great option. In the front here, I've got a more modern take on the carrot ice bag. This is the Bags by Bird bag that I reviewed a couple weeks ago. Finally gonna take it on a more exciting journey than just around town. So those are the bags I'm running. Let me show you what I have inside so far. We'll start in the back here. So strapped to the outside are the tent poles for my tent. And I'm using the Moment tent by Tarp Tent. I did a quick preview of that tent a couple weeks ago as well. I'll link to that in the video description. And in here, although it looks very bulky, there's actually very few things in here. They just tend to be a lot more voluminous, not so much heavy. So basically, I've got a sleeping pad, which is, you know, fairly lightweight, fairly compact. And I've got a new piece of gear to me, and that is a quilt. I decided to try a quilt this time, and I purchased the Enlightened Equipment quilt, one of their pre-made ones. This is, I think their 0 degree one, and I got this nifty stuff sack for it. As you can see, compressed is pretty small. So for a 10 degree bag, I'm pretty impressed. I'll probably pull this out a little bit later, but that's what's in here. Quilt and sleeping pad, and there's enough room to put other layers and snacks. Again, this isn't the final packing. This is about, I don't know, maybe 70% there. Okay, so in the front here, in the Bags by Bird bag, again, not a whole lot of stuff. I know some of you guys that love panniers are gonna freak out and say, why don't you put the weight down low? There's actually not a whole lot of weight in either of these bags. Probably, 3 pounds, 4 pounds at most here, and same here. So not a ton of weight, even though it looks really big. Okay, so in here, these are just sleeping layers, leggings, long sleeve shirt, beanie, and this is the tent body of the Tarp Tent DW Moment, and that's actually all that's in here. On this side pocket is just a wind layer that is quick and easy to access. And other things I anticipate I might be putting in here are gloves and snacks for the day. So I know what you guys are thinking, what about all the food and that stuff? If you guys recall, the cool thing about the Ochoco Overlander is that it's this quasi semi-supported bike packing experience. So you still carry all your camping gear, but they do all the cooking. So I think that's awesome. You can really kind of push yourself and get into camp completely depleted and know that there's going to be a meal not too long thereafter. So that's one reason I love that format. They've changed up the route again this year, so we're going to cover new territory. I'm hoping the weather cooperates, because if it does, that part of Oregon is just beautiful. So that's how I'm packing this time. And I know you guys are wondering why this way instead of, the typical bike packing setup. And the handlebar rolls are really restrictive. My sleeping bag would just fill up the bag and not much room for much else. But with these Paradise style bags, you get the volume. It's a little bit easier to pack. You're not just jamming things in there. There are these external pockets that you can put more things. So pretty cool. So that's it mostly for the bags. I will talk about the bike when it arrives, 2 days before the event. I know, totally dumb idea, but what can you do? But I will show you guys the quilt. Let's pull the quilt out. So this is again, the Enlightened Equipment quilt, supposedly rated for 10 degrees. We'll see how accurate that is once we're actually out there. And if you're not familiar with the quilt, it's filled with down, and the main advantage is that there's no down on your back. It uses the sleeping pad, so you're not compressing that down, so that saves weight and volume. And if you're a warm sleeper like me and want to vent out your feet, it's way easy to do. It's basically acts like a giant blanket. So let's take a look at what's inside here. And so this is what it looks like. As you can see, it's open-ended. On the back, there is a strap that wraps around your sleeping pad to kind of help keep it in place. But otherwise, it's just like what it sounds like. It's a big quilt and not a mummy-style bag. So far I've been pretty surprised with how lofty it is and how small it packs down. So if you're looking to get a new sleeping system of some sort, I'd definitely check out these quilts. Would be good to try it out to see if it's right for you. I kind of just pulled the trigger and am gonna try it out for the first time in the field. So take that with a grain of salt. All right, so as you can see, pretty impressive that it can fit into a relatively small package. It's already not too compressed, but already pretty small. I think having the right size compression bag is important. This is a Sea to Summit, and it's actually the small size, so 10 liters. It fits the regular wide 10 degree Enlightened Equipment quilt. All right, so that's it for this video, guys. Be sure to follow along. I think I'm gonna do some training videos, a couple test rides with all the gear, and see how the bags and the gear hold up. We'll get the bike 2 days before and set it up. So yeah, wish me luck. Anyways, as always, keep the supple side down.